Yebo. Good morning, everybody. Wednesday morning. We're well into the month of June now and well into winter. Whoa. Someone left the aircon on outside. Holy shit. They were talking about how Joburg might even have snow. Did you hear that?
Hey, man. I heard it. And I'm not too happy about it.
No, I'm not happy about it either. Jack Mutlant is with me and we are live. It is, it's a chilly morning, but I went to sleep last night with a scratchy throat and I was like, oh no, I don't need this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys.
Oh,
Not now.
this part of the
You know,
is a bit stressful. truth be told.
Jack, I was doing so well, man. I was like, I'm not going to get sick.
And then Nico was like,
I still might be able to ward it off. I'm holding thumbs, you know?
yeah.
Let's see if we can do that. What's been happening besides your birthday yesterday, dude?
Yes,
Happy
sir.
birthday. It was Jack's birthday yesterday. He's now very, very old.
Very old. At 35 years of age. Yeah. Goodbye to youth. You guys.
Yeah, you can't be in the youth league anymore.
Yeah, no. Truth be told, the youth of these days, like, they
No.
annoy me. Too
No,
sensitive.
but
I don't want
some
to be
people-
counted
some
in that
people-
bracket.
Some people try to hang on to the youth thing well into their 40s.
Oh,
that's
come on.
disgusting. It's disgraceful.
Ah,
And also, there is no shame in being a little bit older. There's no shame in being a little bit wiser.
yeah.
Obviously, you know, you're not an invalid.
Yeah.
You're
no,
not
no,
like
no.
1 foot in the grave.
No, far from it. I'm still at the age where I can confidently say that I've got more of my life ahead of me than I
Mhm.
have behind me, which is not a problem.
I think I can still get away with that as well for now.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah. Because when you think about it, at the end of the day, your experiences make up your life. And the
Yeah.
fact that I have gotten this far, like there are people
Spot on.
who are only on this planet, unfortunately, for like a month, and
Yeah.
they're gone.
You know, that's the difficult thing, is that you realize suddenly, like, the miracle is that you're here,
Exactly.
right? Some people only figure that out very late in life. And I'm like, you poor creature.
Yeah, I think that is the most heartbreaking.
You were sitting here
thing.
worrying about money and relationships and material possessions and politics and all this stuff. And you failed to realize, like, the miracle is that you exist.
Yeah.
That out of all the chances in your family tree going back as long and far as you'd wish to,
Ooh,
those people had to have sex at exactly the right time.
right.
The right sperm had to get to the right egg.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you would not exist. So the fact that you exist, and I don't know what the odds are exactly, but I guarantee you it's more than winning the lotto
Yep.
10 million times in a
Yep.
row. So
Because I mean, when you think
won.
about it,
You won. Good luck. You wake up this morning and you are conscious. You won.
that's actually what winning is all about.
No.
I am admittedly a very, very lazy person. If I had the
Are you?
choice,
I don't know.
seriously, if I had the choice, I'd be in bed right now. But I realized that I've been given an opportunity to get some shit done,
Mm.
and I would much rather do that than
Yeah.
call it quits.
Yeah.
And every morning I can actually drag myself out of bed and do something productive is a W for me. That is a major W.
Ah, man. Yeah. Well, I wish more people would wake up with that attitude. And there is your bit of motivation for the morning.
Yes,
brought to you
sir.
by Gareth and Jack on the Gareth Cliff Show on the Real Network. Hey, you might see our billboards around town in Johannesburg. We've got a
Mhm.
couple of those up and running.
Yep.
So if you do, there's a little competition going on. You can find out more on social media. Just follow the Real Network. And while you're at it, just like and subscribe what we're doing here this morning and on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for you. So we haven't talked politics with you since before the election. And in fact, a week before, because we didn't even do last week's show. It was
Yeah.
election day.
Yeah. I
So-
actually did a show that morning
Uh-huh.
of the elections, just trying to get people
I heard a bit of it.
to the polls and give them as much information as we possibly could pack into a 2-hour show.
Yep.
And yeah, it was very interesting. I love the fact that South Africans are typically untrustworthy because on the day of elections, there were a bunch of people standing outside of voting stations in their regalia and all
Yeah.
of this stuff. But let me tell you something. If what they were wearing and what the election results gave us
Yeah.
was aligned, the ANC would have a majority. It would have won by a landslide. But because I trust that South Africans knew that Msaga is a real thing, like we had to make South Africa great again.
By the way, so we're selling these hats now for those people who want to know, and they're a limited edition, so we're not going to keep them going forever. That's why you'll find only on the website that we'll post the link for. I already did in my social media, but I'll post them again for you just now. But I got like some heat from people.
Oh.
You know, the same thing happened when Donald Trump made the Make America Great Again hats, which is the inspiration for this. Because people immediately assumed, oh, when was South Africa great? So I'm like, 94?
Yeah.
99?
Yeah.
Pretty much all the way up to 2007, 8?
Yeah.
We were a pretty good country.
Yeah.
So I think what they assume is, because they have insecurity problems and they also aren't very well read, don't understand anything, so pretty much morons, is that they only see South Africa in two tranches. They see pre-94 and post-94, and they think, I mean, pre-94 was when we were great.
No.
Well, dummies, sorry to disappoint you so early in the morning, but that's not at all what it meant. And you know what? For some people, there are different points in our history that were great. We discussed this with Leanne on Monday. People think that whatever was happening when they were 15 to 20 years old is the greatest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So anyone, anywhere will think that was when it was the greatest. Doesn't matter who you are. Just rewind your life back to 15 to 20 years old. You thought, this is the best place.
Yep. But
best music,
we've actually got stats to back up what we're talking about.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, it's any person that does not recognize the fact that this country was great between the time that you mentioned, 94 and like roughly 2006, 2007. If you don't recognize that, like, I hope this cat triggers you.
Good. Yeah, get upset.
I'm glad
right.
it triggers you because you're an idiot, truth be told.
Right. Good morning, you beautiful sons of bitches. I've subscribed to YouTube Premium because of Cliff Central, says Carl DeSantos. I'm so glad because you have been moaning like a stuck pig, my friend. And we've been trying to provide this solution to you. Now you can see the show live. You can also have it running on your phone while you're doing other things. It's phenomenal.
Great.
Yeah. I had no idea it means I can lock my phone and keep playing YouTube. Look forward to the burning platform. Well, all of the stuff, right? I mean, isn't YouTube just the server for everything?
Right now it is.
That's where you go.
Yeah.
A happy birthday, Jack, came in from Viasen.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And we got a very nice compliment from you, for you from Congo Chris. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to commend Jack on an excellent Election Day show.
Thank you for tuning in, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. I was joined by Xavier Bapu, who is, when you meet people that have a passion for something that's completely outside the scope of what they do on a day-to-day. It's always inspiring to know that you can have an actual career but pursue your passions on the side. I think it's pretty great. Yeah, so we had a great time.
Most of us are just happy if we can pursue our career.
Yeah.
Some people manage to squeeze a whole lot more in. I also think this is quite nice. Thank you very much, Sivesh. She says, Gareth, take some Med Lemon. It tastes horrible, but it works fast. So
listen,
I will listen. Come hell or high water, I'll be here for Friday's show.
Do you know what my remedy is? You get stony ginger beer.
Stony.
You boil that, and then you mix it with some. Yeah, you boil it on the stove.
Okay.
Mix it with some Med Lemon. I promise you'll wake up feeling like a champ the following morning.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know about your recipe. I think I'll give that a skip. It tastes probably revolting.
It does.
Okay. Carl, why didn't you guys just tell me I could solve the problem with money? I was moaning like a little bitch. Hey, you can solve a lot of problems with money. Hey?
Yeah.
Like a lot of problems. By the way, I see like Floyd Shivambu proving to us he knows nothing about how the economy works. So I'll be very relieved if he's not our Minister of Finance.
Oh, yeah.
Because he says the reason that the economy is shrinking is because white people are holding back their money. Floyd.
What?
You realize that the biggest player in the economy is the government? You realize that the only people who have actual laws preventing them from behaving in a free way economically are white people, right? You realize that. Like there are imperatives on white businesses that are not placed on black businesses or on businesses that are owned by people with disabilities, for example. So I don't know what you're talking about precisely. I don't know if any of it would make sense, even if you did explain it to me. But like there are only a handful of white people. Stop like imagining there's something powerful out there that's preventing you from being fantastic. Maybe it's just that you're shit, Floyd. Like, you know, I mean, like, how can you be so obsessed with how many whites are left in this country? Like 4 million, maybe 3 million and something.
Yeah.
It's tiny. Okay. Small. How can you be so obsessed with the white people when they're not that interested in you? If that's what you're saying.
Yeah, man. Like, you know, it bothers me when this kind of low resolution thinking is put on national platforms.
Yeah.
Like there should be some checks and balances. Like when someone says something stupid, we should not give it air. Like at all.
I think that Elon has tried to put community notes in for that reason. And it seems to work pretty well.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, like there's no accounting for this kind of ridiculous statement. And I know that there are people who think, I mean, I want a government of national unity type thing. I do think there are portfolios of the EFF would be very handy.
Yeah.
You know, and I said so on social media. I said they would be good at running housing or social development because that's where poor people are. And if they promise to deliver services, make sure the SASA grants get to people, make sure that new houses are built in poor areas, upgrade people's living conditions, the kind of portfolio where they could do what they keep telling us they want to do.
Yeah.
I think, you know, a smart government that's generous of spirit, whoever it's made up of, would say, okay, guys, you know what? Rather than having you moaning outside, pissing into the tent from the outside, let's give you a job. See how you do that.
Yeah.
But, if you put this guy in charge of the economy, we're in big trouble because I don't think he understands how money is made. I don't think he understands where it comes from. He's clearly with the VBS scandal, he and his brother are very into stealing other people's money. So I don't think it would be a good idea to trust him with the country's money. But that's just, off the top of my head. There are so many other things that we could talk about. I know everybody's suddenly become an expert on coalition governments. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
It's like when Oscar Pistorius was all the rage, then everybody was a lawyer. When COVID came along, everyone was a health expert.
Yep.
When the World Cup football comes along, everyone's a football expert.
Yep. And you know what?
Now everyone knows everything about coalition governments.
I blame social media.
I had someone at the gym yesterday.
At the gym?
At the gym, dude. I think the best coalition is X, Y, Z. I'm like, you know what?
You know what? Just do your bench press and shut the fuck up. We don't need that.
I'm not volunteering more information than I absolutely have to. And people are actually asking me. Now, you have to have some hubris to just go up to complete strangers and tell them what you think a coalition government should be made of. Like, you really have to have a massive amount of undeserved self-confidence.
Yeah, and it's like,
let me tell you, if the ANC and if the DA and MK can come together with the Freedom Front and IFP, they'll have a majority. I'm like, sure, you. So you've proven you can add. Okay, wow.
Here's your naughty badge.
Well done, hey.
There you go.
Your mother must be so proud.
It's the truth of the matter is we are in uncharted waters as a country as far as this whole coalition on a national scale is concerned.
Isn't it exciting?
I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely amazing. What I'm hoping for is they'll get the opportunity to watch one another. So you'll have the ANC watching the DA and vice versa and all of this stuff. All I ask of these political elites is, for heaven's sake, do not put the ANC and the EFF together. It's a bad idea. The one wants to push NHI, the one wants open borders. Don't do it. Do not do it, please. But outside of that, I genuinely have no thoughts about this, the whole coalition thing. Like, whatever it is these people decide, we'll watch and try to figure out, right?
You know what? There are some very, very funny people who listen to this show, who probably smarter than all of the rest of us put together. Congo Chris says, Floyd is right, Floyd Shivambu. It took Carl years to spend the 50 Rand for YouTube Premium, so white people are holding on to their money. And then Carl himself says, yeah, us whites must be superhuman. Like 4% of us left here, but we make all the cuck and take all the money. At the whites meeting tonight, I'm adding this to the agenda.
Oh.
Do you want to come to the whites meeting?
No.
No, they won't notice.
They won't even notice.
They won't notice.
Like
the
I'll
whites
just walk in
meeting.
and say, hey, China's,
Oh my God.
we're going to be great. Hey, Oaks.
Dude, listen, before we get off of South Africa, because there's so much I want to talk about this morning.
Yeah.
Just KZN. I mean, yes, that province has been through a lot.
It has.
And now these tornadoes they had over the weekend. Jesus. I mean, I got these videos, right?
Mm.
People's houses, the roofs blown off, the trees are all smashed to pieces.
Yeah, it looks
like a scene from Verdun in World War I. It's
Yeah.
absolutely frightening.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about the people I know who live in KZN, and everybody who's been through a lot there. You know, it's pretty fucking horrible. That's all I can say.
Yep.
And you know, if you
Thoughts and prayers, man.
Absolutely. And what else can we send you?
Yeah.
You know, we can't give you political autonomy because you'll choose MK. So all we can send you is thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, truthfully, that's all we can send you. But I mean, you know, we are always being told how South Africans are resilient. I guess this is another opportunity for us to do so. And you know, it's crazy. When I was much younger, we didn't have these kind of things happening in the country. But like in the past 15 or 10 years, we've had everything from earth tremors, tornadoes,
we did
floods.
have them. That's not entirely right. The first thing is that we have social media now. So stuff spreads a lot quicker, and places that you wouldn't normally know about.
Right.
You would have read about on page 25 of the newspaper once.
Right.
Now you have to see it on your screen, on your device, and it makes it feel like things are getting worse. So that's not true.
Okay.
You know, and the weather doesn't, you know, there are a lot of people who obviously jump to conclusions. They're like, well, this must mean that God hates KZN, or that it's some kind of sign from the universe about
climate change and all of that stuff.
It's a province that it's coastal.
Yeah.
There's a huge mountain range on the one side. This is not complicated, guys. You don't need to bring in, you know, the gods and start throwing the bones and and getting an augurer to read the entrails of birds. You can study a little geography and meteorology, and I think you'll be able to make fairly decent sense of the fact that KZN is, as a province, prone to a lot of unique weather conditions. Yeah. And occasionally some really terrible things happen. I don't want that to happen. Nobody does, but it's happening. KZN used too much dark magic to get MK into power. Now Gogo Maweni, who votes EFF, is punishing them. yes. Oh, I love it. I love how people jump to these conclusions, even if they are just being funny.
Yeah.
So talking about jumping to conclusions, did you see Fauci?
Oi,
what
that
a
old
son
man.
of a bitch.
Oh,
so
that old man.
This Fauci. Now, this guy has some nerve. He appears in front of Congress. The second time he's had to go there and account for himself. The first time he wasn't very cooperative, remember?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, the problem with the virus is it's not 100%. There's no way we could be sure, 100% sure. But you were telling us you were.
Exactly.
I mean, which was right, Fauci 2020 or Fauci 2024? Because they're saying completely different things. They are dissonant. They are not able to share the same point of view on something.
No, they can't.
Which one's lying, dude?
That's the problem when you are a professional liar. Like, if you are giving your marching orders and you're giving your talking points and it's like, look, don't deviate from here, then you'll be fine. What I found absolutely laughable was when they asked him about the whole 6 feet, you know, social distancing thing. Mm-hmm. He said, oh no, the CDC came up with that. I was just regurgitating what they told me.
They just made it up. They made it up. They just invented it.
Yep.
Now, I would like, but it's never going to happen. I would like all those people that I know personally who were like, well, you must obey the rules, put on the mask, just do it. Just go with the flow. Why are you being so rebellious? Why don't you just use the hand sanitizer? Why don't you maintain social distancing? You remember those stupid fucking stickers they
On
had
the floor,
everywhere in buildings all over this country?
Yep.
I know there are still signs up that say COVID-19.
Yep.
Beware. Like you see some people haven't taken them down, like the political posters, which won't be taken down for 6 months. If you are one of those people, I just want you to know, I will be bringing this up when I see you in conversation. I will be humiliating and embarrassing you at every opportunity I get going forward. I'm going to make you cry because I'm going to make you realize that not only are you a dumb ignoramus who follows every government diktat, even if it's nonsense, even if it comes from an obvious bureaucratic tyrant like Dr. Anthony Fauci. I remember people saying, thank God for Dr. Fauci. Do you remember there were those pray for Fauci candles? Do you remember? They had his face on. There were people lighting them all over the United States of America. If you are one of those people, I'm your worst nightmare. I can't wait to see you. Those people with the stickers, those people who used to wear the gloves, who put on the mask. There's still people wearing the masks.
There still are.
I saw one in the airport on Saturday. I will walk up to them from now on.
He's like,
especially now that
take that stupid thing off.
Now that Fauci's out there having to account for himself, and we know he made up everything. Just like our National Coronavirus Command Council. Remember them?
Ooh.
And I went on TV because I had a show on television at that point, and I was saying, this is nonsense. And did I get people crapping on me from a dizzy height? Oh, do you want my grand to die? Do you remember that?
Of course not. I remember the open letter that you wrote. I remember that. I shared it on my Facebook, and a bunch of people came for me. They're like, yo, dude, you're going against the science. What are you saying? In fact,
I think about the people who had relatives dying in hospital.
Yeah.
I think about the people who had funerals during that time that were prevented from sitting next to a sobbing relative and consoling them because of Fauci's dumb 6-foot rule.
Yeah.
This is not just a thing where I was rebellious and other people were compliant. There were actual hard costs for society. I'm not talking about the economy and all those businesses that closed, how many businesses couldn't operate at all, had to shut down completely.
Yep.
This is apart from load shedding, the economy, and all the other difficulties that we have in this country running a business. But I'm talking about businesses that actually closed because of those COVID rules. And I'm not talking about people who sneaked, a couple of drinks from a shop that they knew the guy and opened the back door. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these people who genuinely suffered, the school kids who are going to be retarded. And I use that word advisedly because what I mean by it is that they will be behind.
Yep.
That's what retarded means when it comes to their overall development, the wasted time in school. There are matrics that are going to graduate. I think this year's last year's were even products of this problem.
Yeah.
There is a high cost that we have paid as a country and as a world for the stupidity of people like Anthony Fauci, who are now admitting, by the way, there's no threat of him going to jail or him paying a fine.
Which is the biggest load of bullshit, because at the same time, this man actually made a lot of money as a result of the lies that he was peddling.
So did so many people in the health business.
Which is why I didn't get vaccinated, by the way.
And if you don't forget, if you spoke out like we're saying we did, and I remember you also being vocal about this, there were people like Dr. Jonathan Witt who spoke out about kids not being a serious risk during this process and that they should go to school. You shouldn't have to force a mask onto a 4 or 5-year-old and make them breathe in their own stale air for hours at school. You remember the petty tyrants?
Yeah.
The neighbors who were telling on each other. I want you guys to know I'm not forgetting. I am bitter and resentful about this. And I'm going to make sure you remember how dumb you were so that the next time something like this happens, you think twice, like we did this time.
Hopefully, you'll be able to think clearly this time around because, listen, under no circumstances am I willing to go back into some sort of lockdown and whatnot. Plus, nowadays, there's this new flu that's going around. Apparently, it's hectic or whatever.
The swine flu. No, I've heard some people have been hit by quite hard. But that
But
happens.
if at any point in time I'm told that I need to restrict my movement or I have to
please.
put on gloves or put on a mask or whatnot,
Go
listen,
to hell.
there's the biggest middle finger on the planet. I'll find it and show it to all of you, because I am not going back to living my life that way. It's not happening.
You wanted to show us a picture from Fauci's testimony.
Oh, in fact, it's a little clip. So they found a recording of him having, what they would call locker room talk behind closed doors, where no one would hear what was going on. Listen to this SOB, man. It's madness.
Let's go.
Think can be done about it. I have to say that I don't see a big solution other than some sort of mandatory vaccination. I know federal officials don't like to use that term.
Once people feel empowered and protected legally, you are going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. Lady, you're going to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated. And it's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit and they get vaccinated.
Thank
So,
Think can be done.
I believe is technically, in my mind, a mass murderer. He's pointing out the fact that if you were a dissenting voice during that time, you were, it's ideological bullshit. And all you need to do is put pressure on all of these other companies and we'd be forced to get vaccinated. It's like, firstly, it shows that there was clear intent. They knew exactly what they were doing when they were saying all of this stuff and when they put all of these laws into motion. And a couple of years later, we have to sit and listen to these kind of clips and not get mad. How is that man not behind bars?
By the way, Max Sony says, how did we end up on this topic again? Well, Fauci's being grilled by Congress.
Yeah.
That's why. So he's being forced to tell the truth.
Yep.
Which he has assiduously avoided every step of the way up to now. So actually, yes, we're going to talk about this. And
Yes,
I'm glad it's come up. That clip is just appalling.
It is absolutely appalling.
That is how tyrants talk.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, well, we'll just force them to abandon their preconceived moral notions about things. Because, as he said, schools and universities will force people. Great.
You want to come to this school, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. And you know what? I don't remember where I heard this phrase, but I think it was Boston Legal or something like that, where I think Alan Shaw was pointing out the fact that the moment people get scared, they'll give up anything. For whatever reason,
they will.
From 2019 into 2020, people got in such a panic that calm minds were not the rule of thumb for the day. Everyone was trying to scamper into a little corner so that they could hide, when in actuality, the opposite was what was needed. We needed more people standing up, more people speaking up, more people being able to be outside. Like the amount of mental health damage that the most of us faced during those years is absolutely insane.
Yes.
And I'm not even talking about the ones that actually got the jab. I'm saying whether you got it or not.
It's not going away, guys. And you know what? The benefit of hindsight is you can look back and you can find all the bullshitters.
Yep.
And you can actually talk about the stuff that is true. We know there is now fact and there is fiction. And all those people who were saying, trust the science. Do you remember them?
Ugh.
See, my problem isn't just with Fauci. You just said it a moment ago. It's like, it's the fact that people suddenly become hugely compliant. They'll go along. Like, Germany did when 6 million people were sent to the gas chambers. And Germany, the ordinary folks were like, it doesn't take a majority of people for an entire nation, an entire world, an entire civilization to start doing stupid and destructive stuff. It just takes enough of them to convince the rest of them that they will be left out of the tent.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Anyway, I mean, I did want to bring that up because it's a big news story. It's happening again. It's not going away anytime soon.
And I'm sorry to all of you who took the jab.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Snipes said something interesting here that I just want to get back to quickly, which, no mention of the independent candidates in the South African election. Money wasted, I guess. Well, we're jumping around a bit here, but yeah, I'll mention them. It'll take all of 20 seconds. Who cares?
No one.
Independent candidates, waste of time, waste of money. Well done, guys. You stood up for yourselves. It's awesome, but nothing's going to happen. Not one of you got to parliament. Not Zaki Ahmad. My aunt was like, I'm voting for Zaki Ahmad. I was like, okay,
Good luck
for
with
you.
that.
Yeah, like very good.
You know
Good
what?
work. She's listening right now. I hope she's paying attention.
Yeah,
Waste of a vote there.
My heart breaks a little bit for Anelimda. I like her a lot.
Yeah, well.
But you know, hey,
Wah.
you knew the rules of the game
Wah.
when you jumped in. So
Wah.
buddy.
I feel sorry for Colleen Makubele too with her little SARA party. They got like 1,200 votes. One of them was Canthan's. You know what? Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
People
all
got a chance.
2,000 of you did a great job.
I just think next year or next time we have an election, let's just increase the basic barrier to entry. First of all, because it helps these people that have delusions of grandeur. It helps them to not waste so much of their own money. Because I know that a lot of these candidates financed. We spoke to Anelimda. She financed it herself. We spoke to Colleen. She did a lot of that herself, right? Her own money. Now, it's got to be pretty horrible if you put your own money up, if you're not just borrowing from rich donors, not borrowing, but taking from rich donors or from the IEC itself. And then you don't end up with a seat.
Oof.
It's like, that's like going to the casino, placing it all on red and then it comes up black.
Hey.
You're like,
See?
come on, guys.
I keep saying,
Yeah.
see, you thought you were Billy Badass until
Wah.
you ran into Billy Badass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Look, I'll commend you for putting your, name in the race. But
I'm sad.
Hey.
I'm sad about one in particular.
Yeah.
I'm very sad that ACT
Yeah.
didn't get at least 2 seats. Do you know why?
No.
Because Ace Makashule would have been one of them, and the other one would have been Burning and Tlemeza. And I really wanted Burning and Tlemeza to have something to do in the new dispensation. But alas, I
You
wasn't
don't
enough.
always get what you want.
I wasn't enough to get him across the line. Sorry,
Yeah,
dude. We tried.
Good luck.
So what else is in the news? Let's take a look here. There is a lot of talk about Kanye West, who's being sued for harassment by an ex-assistant. Yes,
Hey, these
Suddenly-
musicians.
every musician has got a target on their back or on their front, depending. He's being sued for sexual harassment, breach of contract, and wrongful termination by a woman who worked as his assistant for 2 years. Now, I know I'm jumping to a conclusion, but this is probably what everybody does. Most people would jump to the conclusion that, Kanye is a terrible person. I jumped to the conclusion that maybe this woman is just looking for money and she made the whole thing up.
Yeah, that
Okay.
is a possibility.
Because what are the incentives? What she suddenly, because she worked for him until 2022. So what, she's waited for 2 years. She sat on her eggs for 2 years. She's been like, I don't know, going through the worst trauma because she was sexually harassed. Let's take her at her word.
Sure.
And then decides 2 years later, well, now's the time to kick in.
Well, apparently part of her claim is the fact that Kanye was supposed to pay her $2 million or something like that, and he still hasn't done so.
Here's why I think she's a liar, okay? According to documents, she's primarily supporting herself via her OnlyFans profile.
Oh, yes. Forgot
This
that.
is when she met him in 2021. She only worked for him from 2021 to 2022. So it's not like she was there for a whole long time. He didn't even know her probably. And before that, she was an OnlyFans model.
Yeah.
Okay. She says he hired her to work on the first season of his Yeezy women's fashion line. And they ended up collaborating on 3 tracks from his Donda album. She does not have any formal credits on the record, however. So she's claiming she worked on songs.
Okay.
But she's an OnlyFans model.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. We've got to start telling people who we think are bullshitting, I don't believe you, whether it's Fauci or this woman, what's her name? Lauren Pisciata.
Ay.
Pisciata.
Woo.
Okay. West subsequently hired her as his personal assistant with an annual salary of $1 million. It's good money. On the condition that she was available 24/7. Because he's a lunatic, right?
Yeah.
He wakes up at 3 a.m. You go, I got an idea, yo. Write this down.
Yep.
That's what she needs to be available for. She says she agreed to the terms. Okay, so far, no fault of Kanye's. According to a lawsuit, West was initially comfortable with her continuing her OnlyFans business. However, in 2022, he allegedly stated that he wanted her to be godlike and asked her to delete her account in exchange for a further $1 million. I mean, that's nice. I think that's nice of the guy.
It's like, stop whoring. Here's $1 million.
Here's $1 million to stop whoring.
Yeah, just stop whoring.
I mean, who would say no to that?
No.
That is genuinely a very good deal. I don't think she was making $1 million off of her OnlyFans account. I didn't even know who this woman was until now.
Yeah, neither did I.
So there's this guy, out of the kindness of his heart, is willing to pay her $1 million more to just stop whoring online.
And she was like, no.
After she closed the account, she claimed she was bombarded with explicit text messages from West, including pornographic videos. She also claims he masturbated while talking to her on the phone, and that on one occasion, he pleasured himself in front of her after trapping her in a private room on his plane. Well, it's convenient convenient you're the only two who can tell the story. And let me guess, Kanye's going to say it didn't happen.
Oh my goodness.
And let me guess, you don't have any of those videos anymore that he sent you.
No.
Or the screenshots or any of that. You don't have any of that anymore, do you? And if you do, you held on to them for 2 years before you decided to make a move because now there's money up for grabs.
It was like it was like she bought a stock and she was waiting for it to get to the right price and then sell.
Let me tell you something. You don't know, man or woman, you don't know. Someone might be playing with themselves when you're on the phone to them today. You might be on a business call. I hate to break it to you. You might be talking about shares and stocks. You might be talking about the elections. And you know what? Someone could be busy with their erection. You don't know. So stop it. Just stop. This is nonsense. This is like these people who everything's fine. And when they break up, then the guy was sexually harassing her. And he verbally abused me. He called me names. I need $1 million. Otherwise, I'm just never going to feel better. Please. Listen. Kanye West has got big problems, okay?
Yeah.
But he got 99 problems, but this bitch ain't one.
Hey, definitely.
To borrow Jay-Z's line.
I think that was perfectly put.
It's just unbelievable. So good luck, Lauren Pisciata.
I won't even say good luck.
I'll go on record. Good luck to her because she's clearly deluded. I will go on record saying, I don't believe you.
Unless you've got some sort of evidence. Short of that, listen, good luck. In fact, why don't you just hop back onto OnlyFans? Seemingly now that everyone knows your name. In fact, that would be the quickest way for you to make some money.
Let's see you make $1 million on OnlyFans now.
Yeah, go.
Kanye.
Do it.
Let me tell you something. The fact that she revealed that he gave her $1 million to get off OnlyFans is the greatest compliment to his character that I've heard in a long time since he said all those Jew-hating things.
Yeah.
This is the best thing anyone said about Kanye, and she's trying to get money out of him. Congo Chris is right. Beware the machoshas, gentlemen.
Be very aware.
Sticking your collie in crazy might feel good at the time, but in the end, it is you who will be fucked. Spot on.
Sideways, hey?
Spot on. I start off telemarketing conversations with, I'm touching myself right now, says Bitcoin But. That's very clever.
That is very clever.
Yes, I was getting a month ago or so, for about 6 weeks, this company was calling me every second day. And we've talked about this before on the show, but you will eventually try anything to get rid of them. I lost my temper once, didn't make a difference. I asked nicely once, didn't make a difference. I explained to them that I have no money.
Didn't make a difference.
Nothing. They just kept coming. So
I like the moment I realize it's a telemarketer, I just answer the phone and leave it where it is.
Yeah.
I don't even bother responding. It's like, okay, have this conversation by yourself. I imagine that the air would love to buy whatever it is that you're selling at this point in time. Good luck with that. Just leave it as is. It'll actually give you a couple of minutes away from your phone. And some of us need
Carl
that.
says he just Googled that woman. She's hot. I'm suddenly on her side.
Carl, you know what? Send her a message and tell her to restart her OnlyFans. You'll be her first client, I guess. Right? I don't care how hot she is, man. If she's walking around making lies about people, who gives a fuck? Like, let her jump. Genuinely.
Yeah. Promise Okoroji says, my ex called me a creep and a stalker when we broke up. Yeah. But she didn't say that while she was with you.
Yep.
I mean, somehow the creep and stalker stuff wasn't a problem while you were dating. Suddenly,
Here's the
after you
thing.
broke up, she was like, "Oh, I've just realized you're a creep and a stalker." Great.
The thing is, it's all fun and games when the dog is under your leadership, but the moment you let it go, you realize that, hold on, this thing's got teeth and it actually bites.
Let me just ask you another thing, right? This woman, before she met Kanye, was perfectly okay with anyone in the world paying for her OnlyFans and masturbating their hearts out.
Yeah.
Now suddenly she's what? She's too proud. She's too prim and proper to put up with Kanye West. I mean, what a compliment if you're an OnlyFans whore.
Can you
for
imagine?
Kanye West to be interested in your videos and making funny noises on the phone.
See?
You should be so lucky, Lauren.
It's funny how being broke and morality kind of work together for this lady.
Yes. Unreal, man.
It's like, yo,
Unreal.
I'm so broke. I just realized that I've got morals. Damn it, Kanye. Why would you do that to me?
Anyway, people are going to start talking like this again because we're all sick of this politically correct nonsense where you just believe anyone who claims to be a victim.
My
Bullshit.
problem is the overcorrection. Like, sure, in the past, we have got this shit wrong.
Right,
I am
of
not
course.
disputing that.
No, of course.
But the overcorrection is just madness to me. Like, just the phrase, believe all women.
Nonsense. What a stupid phrase.
Sorry. It's not happening. It's not happening.
All
Because,
all men are trash. Same thing.
yeah,
It's nonsense.
these blanket statements that are said as if they are the totality of existence is actually pretty dumb. Because what you ultimately find out is that you're putting your loved ones in the same group.
We've got to go to an interview. We're going to talk to someone who's, I think, doing pretty awesome work. And we like to shine the light on people who are doing cool things. But I do have to say, Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden is also going to be in court this week. I mean, we had Donald Trump last week being convicted by a jury in New York. Surprise, surprise. Imagine that. A place where he got like 10 votes out of 20,000 in that district.
The entire court case was a farce. It was a farce.
Was it far? It seems especially good when you do it with that hat on.
Yeah.
But Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's derelict son, this guy who was like sniffing Parmesan cheese up on the carpet of a filthy hotel room because he thought it was Coke because the guy's such a crackhead. Hunter Biden, who was so high that when he bought a gun, his then girlfriend, who happens to also have been the widow of his other brother. This is a very messed up family. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Very messed up. This is like trailer park stuff.
This is medieval.
Hunter Biden buys a gun. His girlfriend, who, as I said, was his brother's widow, doesn't feel comfortable with him having a gun because he's always high. So she just takes the gun and throws it in a trash can outside a school.
Okay.
Kind of irresponsible behavior, if you ask me.
Kinda.
Yeah. And Hunter lied because when he applied for the gun, he promised them, and you have to declare this in writing in America. People say it's easy to get a gun, but you have to say that you're not high on drugs when you buy the gun.
Of course.
Okay. Everybody anywhere would know that's a pretty good rule. If you're high on drugs, you shouldn't have a gun.
You shouldn't.
So he's got to go and fight these and other charges. Of course, there was another charge of him carrying around bags of money for the Biden family from China and Russia and Ukraine and wherever else they needed to get
And
their
a
money
bunch
from.
of other things on that laptop.
Right. And the laptop. We won't even talk about the laptop. Remember how we were lied to about that as well. And it's Russian disinformation.
Yeah.
Remember?
And can you imagine now you're going through all of this stuff and your dad is a dementia patient?
Oh my God.
It's a lot.
By the way, the best part of this is that Jill Biden, his stepmom, is sitting right behind him during the trial, looking really concerned, like being the mother hen of the family. Meanwhile, in a recording and in transcripts, he is recorded as calling her the C word.
Wow.
And saying that she has this degree in education from a university that has a building named after Biden. So I wonder how she got the degree. And that she wouldn't be able to teach a third grade class because she's so stupid. And yet she's sitting behind him in court. Listen, America, I hate to say it. I love America. I love Americans. But you deserve to have to choose between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. You deserve it. That's what you're going to get.
I imagine Hunter was going through a couple of withdrawal symptoms when he said that.
The guy's been high. Listen, he's older than I am, right? And he still needs daddy to bail him out. He still needs daddy's money, daddy's help. He still calls daddy during meetings so that he can convince people to do terrible deals with him.
And I feel like the world...
My dad's the president. Hang on, let me get my dad on the phone. Dad, you're almost 50-year-old or maybe even older than 50-year-old man. Daddy, why don't you talk to these people and tell them they must give me money because you're the president? What a pathetic loser.
And I feel like the world is sprouting out more of these people.
He's even got an illegitimate child that he had with like some stripper, and he refuses to acknowledge her. He refuses. He won't even take responsibility for that. He is a deadbeat dad, in addition to all those other really shit things about him. So say what you will about Donald Trump and his children. You might not like Ivanka. You might think Don Jr. and Eric are horrible people. They don't come close to all of these things I've just told you that are all true and not in any dispute about Hunter Biden. So you tell me who the worst family are.
And he's 54.
54, huh? How embarrassing.
That is like...
What a joke.
What?
All right. Well, let's turn our attention to something a little upbeat and positive here, because I'm going to get on Jabulani Mtombeni and Zamashenge Zita, both of whom are co-founders of Isialo Wellness. Now, the reason I want to talk to these people is because they are doing something which up to now has been difficult to get done in South Africa. It's talking about mental health in places like Soweto, because people in Soweto, especially men, are like, no, we don't talk about mental health.
Yeah, no.
You know, we have Dr. Hanan on every week here on this show, and we talk about mental health because we think it's really important. But Isialo Wellness is committed to providing comprehensive mental health support to the people of Soweto and surrounding areas. And I think if that's your purpose, we'll support you by at least trying to find out what you're all about and letting people know about you. So let's get them on. Let's talk to them. Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. Nice to have you on the show, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
It's an honor. Thank you.
So Jabulani and Zamashenge, tell me, how did it all start? How did you guys decide to come up with this?
Well, I was working with my sister. She's a psychologist, and she had asked me to do her admin things and her scheduling. And I realized that we have a big problem with scheduling in Soweto, or people would call from Soweto and say, I would like to see her, but she's in Randburg. So we would struggle to find a place around Soweto where she would have people. So we'd have to find other psychologists that would be outside of Soweto to assist. So that's how we came up with the thought that how about we have that in our community and assist our people with that, because it is something that is really needed.
So Zama, I mean, it's not because Jack Motlanthe lives in Soweto and he needs mental health help.
Yeah, I need quite a bit.
No.
I mean, there's never been anything like this in Soweto, right?
No, not to my knowledge. I think more often than not, you would have to look for these kind of services, and more often than not, they would be outside of Soweto. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the need is obviously something you guys identified early on.
Yes, because we did see, you would get a lot of calls from people around Soweto that would say, I'm looking for a psychologist, because she is a psychologist, and you would have to send them to Randburg. And when you think about if someone is using public transport, getting to Randburg is not the easiest thing, especially when you having a mental health issue. You need to see someone immediately, and they're not available at that point.
Now, Soweto has multiple issues, and one of them is the fact that a lot of people are unemployed in Soweto, and that plays into how a person might feel about themselves. It's one thing to help people deal with their mental health issues, but how do you, I guess remove to a certain extent the environment that they're in? Because I mean, walking into the therapist's office to get some help is one thing, but having to deal with the environment afterwards is a completely different thing. How are you guys lending some of your assistance to people to change their surroundings, or is it just about looking at the individual to make themselves better?
No, we do look at working with people in their surroundings. We do work with other NGOs and other people that do support with people that have mental issues, people that have been hospitalized due to mental health issues. We do have support groups around the areas, or that also use our facilities to be able to assist families, to be able to assist individuals and communities at large on that.
So, Jabulani, I mean, do you think men are going to be more reticent to come and make use of your services than women? Because we know guys across the board in South Africa are reluctant to seek help on these sorts of issues.
Well, to be honest, I initially didn't think so, but to my surprise, most of the guys that I have engaged personally are more than willing to come in. I think with guys, it's more, I think, not recognizing the need of coming through, or not recognizing the need of speaking to somebody else in regards to what they have. But when they see one jump, more seem to report, to say, oh, okay, maybe this is something that I can consider. So having said that, I think it's more and more important now for those that see the light to speak up, so that the others can join in. Because what you see more than anything, especially in around our neighborhood, is that let me not come under the bus for this, the foolish get more of the shine than those who actually know what the light looks like.
It's a business, though. I mean, nothing's for nothing. And often when people get something for free, then they don't appreciate it. If you get something for nothing, you think, well, it's worth nothing. And you are business people, you're both entrepreneurs, so you're going to have to charge for this. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's probably not going to be, bank-breaking expensive.
Yeah, it won't be a windfall.
But you are probably dealing with people who might not have that much disposable income. So how are you positioning it price-wise? Like, what kind of packages are you guys offering? And do you offer them for families, for individuals, for couples? Like, how does it all work?
With the pricing on that, we have psychologists, we have in-house psychologists for Isialo, and we also have social workers. And social workers do the counseling, which is a bit cheaper, or much cheaper than the psychologist would charge. So the counseling would be around 500 to 600 rand. And if then they need psychological assistance, or they need any referrals, then they get referred through to the psychologist, which is about 900 rand to 1,000 rand.
Yeah, but I think on that, just to jump in also, that is why we are teaming up with NGOs and other individuals, so that you can figure out ways. Right now we're in talks in trying to set up an apparel shop that will generate as much as we can based on the situation, of course, to try and mitigate to those that we can reach, those we feel perhaps maybe cannot afford, or maybe even subsidize. I mean, we're still new, we're still trying to see how we can get there, and eventually maybe we can try and even hold other business owners around here accountable for giving back to the community. So yeah, it's still a learning experience as well, but we are getting there, and I think we have a good chance on at least putting a stamp on this, that we can, and then we encourage others, of course. I mean, it's not just us that can fix a whole epidemic of so yeah, we encourage others to jump in.
When people go into the kind of thing that you guys are going into, whether we like it or not, you're going to need people to buy into the idea. And more often than not, that happens when you are willing to work with the people around you. Are there any ways for people to join your movement, like people that are sitting at home trying to figure out what to do with their lives, and they could have a position within Isialo, maybe perhaps as runners or just to assist, an extra set of hands? Do you guys have a portal whereby someone can join your movement?
Yeah. Like I said, we're still new, so let them not be surprised when they get to the portal and find it empty. But yeah, they can find us on Facebook, Isialo Wellness. They can just drop us a message there. We are more than willing to have more hands come in. On Instagram, it's Isialo _ wellness. Yeah, on any of those platforms, let them drop us a text, then we are more than happy to engage. Yeah, more hands, more work.
I like it.
So, Gareth might not know this, so I'm going to school you in a second. Like, as South African Black people, a lot of us, when things go wrong in our lives, a lot of us tend to consult a spiritual guidance healer and all of this stuff. You know what I mean? Not necessarily breaking that tradition, but have you had some pushback when it comes to offering your services to people, and they're like, you know what, man, I'd much rather go to Gogo Mieni, and you know what I mean?
So far, we haven't had that. People, I think, are more open. I think with the talks that have been happening around social media and around the country, people are much more open to hear what you are saying about mental health. And I mean, we just had with one of the NGOs, we invited women or mothers to come through and have a meetup with us so that we can talk about the experiences of motherhood, what they are going through. And people showed up. A lot of mothers showed up. And so there hasn't been that much of a pushback that we also expected.
Interesting.
All right. Well, listen, guys, good luck to you. I think it's great what you're doing.
Yep.
And I do like us to occasionally shine the light on people who are doing heavy lifting in places where there isn't any of it going on. And I'm glad that now we can say that there are people who are going to be able to get professional help and therapy in Soweto and in parts of the country where that was not available before.
Yeah, I'll book my session soon.
Yeah, you must book your session immediately.
I
need help. Thank you so much. Lovely to have you on the show this morning. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
There we go. That's the first cough of winter for me.
Yeah.
It's not a mental health thing, but it's a health thing.
Hey, let me go get my mask. Just kidding.
Run, get your mask. And thanks for all the old wives' remedies, the old, you know, what do they call it? The wisdom, if in inverted commas, of people online for all the cures. I'm not going to die. I'm just going to get a cold.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I'm going to get a 3-day cold and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Be back here on Friday for the show. But don't forget, we've also got a burning platform on the podcast party tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
And plenty more. It's only 7 o'clock, so we still have a whole hour with you this morning, Jack Mutlante and I. And you must stick around. Sanele says you got to have coffee with gin. That's how you've got to do things. See? Maybe I'll go and make some coffee with gin. We'll go and see how that goes. All right, back in a minute.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
The new Captor, which we ran as a long-termer for 3 months. I think that is a cracking car, and I just don't see any of them on the roads.
Yeah, it drives beautifully. It's really sharp. It's the steering is very direct. It's got all the creature comforts you need. That infotainment system is extremely user-friendly. It's a no-brainer to drive. It's economical. What more do you want?
And I think a lot of people might not know this, but the drivetrain in that Captor is the same drivetrain you get in a Mercedes-Benz A-Class.
That's true.
So A200, that 1.3-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol motor and the dual-clutch gearbox, same engine and gearbox combination in the Captor as you get in an A-Class Mercedes.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
All right. Good morning and welcome to this Wednesday edition of the Gareth Cliff Show with Jack Mutlante and I.
What's
and
good?
You, tell us what's going on. You can join us in the comments. You can also hit us up on social media. You know how to find all of that stuff. We want to know what you're up to. So give us a heads up. It's definitely winter. I've got into the soup making. That was what I made on Monday. I started it and it is going strong. By Tuesday, I had my first cup of it yesterday. You got to let it brew, you know.
Yes, you do.
You can't just expect the vegetables to be ready in the soup by day one. I know that, and I'm no chef.
Yeah, no.
And then I still haven't gone for the electric blankets, although I see them being sold in all the shops at the moment. But that'll come probably end of this week.
You know, I've never been a fan of electric blankets. Like they don't let you get out of bed.
No, but you don't have them on once you're in bed. You have them on before. You get into, just to like get it all toasty, and then you turn them off. Because it's bad for you. You can't sleep with that thing on. That's deadly.
Yeah, like I enjoy cocooning myself in the blankets. So you lift your legs up a little bit, go to the left. To the
but when that cold air comes in, like last night, and I felt just you move a little bit, and that cold air comes in from somewhere, either the side or the bottom or the top, and you're like, "Whoa, what the hell
just happened?"
Yeah, not good.
It always pisses me off. Like whenever I cut my hair really short, and I do my little cocoon thing, and then 5 minutes into it, I just feel this breeze. Like, hey man, get off!
Oh my god,
get off!
Yeah. I suppose it's winter. The one advantage of being fat is that winter is a little bit more bearable. Right?
Like in my neighborhood, like you know, during summer, we'd always brag about dating skinny girls and all of this stuff. But the moment
winter comes,
May comes around, listen, more cushion for the pushing. Bring it in, baby.
That's great. Well, I think a lot of people also, you get these cars with heated seats.
Yeah.
I don't have that, but I did drive a car a while ago that did. Man, is that nice.
Is it?
Oh, bro. To warm your ass.
You don't fall asleep behind the wheel?
No, you warm your ass while you're driving. It's fantastic. I drove a very, very high-end car for like a week. They gave it to me to drive.
Yeah.
It was a Bentley once.
Ooh. And
it had little holes in the seat. And what it would do is it would blow hot air or cold air. You could switch it to cold in summer, hot in winter. It would blow cold or hot air all the way down your back and on the seat itself.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty amazing.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. I mean, that must be an expensive piece of upholstery.
Yeah.
That's all I was thinking.
That's for damn sure.
But hot water bottles, some people swear by those as well. And then you can always make fires. Just try not to make fires in the house if you don't actually have a fireplace. You know what I mean?
It's shocking that we actually have to say that.
No, I promise you.
Yeah, some person is sitting there thinking, might as well do it in the middle of the lounge.
I made my first soup on Monday as well, says Yonda. And yesterday it was super. Today it will be amazing. And I've had nonstop rain since Monday in the Cape.
Ooh,
yeah. We had weird rain on Sunday, of all things.
Yeah.
In Gauteng, which I hate talking about the weather because it's boring, but that is unusual.
It is.
To have rain on, the first week of June. It's very odd.
Interestingly enough, since we were talking about my birthday a little earlier on, my mom told me years ago about the day I was born in 89. Apparently it was coming down in buckets on that day.
Really? Okay, well, they said there was a possibility, tiny possibility we'd have some snow. In Gauteng today. It's
always fun seeing snow. It's just that it's really freezing. It's just annoying.
If anybody who listens to us lives near the Drakensberg or even the Cedarburg in the Cape and you've seen some snow, then let us know, because I don't honestly. I mean, it's not something that I'm looking for online, but if you're in it and you listen to the show, then tell us about it. Okay, so a couple of things that we want to get into this morning. I mentioned some of the news stories. Here's one that people are talking about too. The much-anticipated inaugural crewed launch of Boeing's Starliner spacecraft is set to take place today, following a computer issue that abruptly halted the countdown just moments before liftoff last Saturday. The mission, known as the Crew Flight Test, will launch from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Veteran NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams will be the first crew to ride aboard Starliner, which will be propelled to orbit atop an Atlas V rocket built by United Launch Alliance. So I want to know who would do this, because the astronauts in it will spend 24 hours traveling to the International Space Station. They will then spend 8 days on the ISS, joining 7 astronauts who are already there. If they made this available and it wasn't ridiculously expensive, like it's always only been billionaires and people who won competitions, would you do it?
To go to space? Yeah, as long as it's the rocket that takes me there isn't built by the same people with whistleblowers dying everywhere.
Oh, Boeing. Yeah, well, that's part of the problem here, right? This is Boeing's Starliner.
Yeah, that's the problem. But
truthfully... Or you could argue, because Boeing was a very reputable company up to when all these things started going wrong in the last couple of years. But, I mean, they've built some pretty damn good planes.
Yes, they have.
I've flown in them, you've flown in them. You never thought about it before. Maybe they've just taken their best and brightest and put them onto this project.
You see,
and put the shitty people on the planes,
which is even more of a deterrent to me. But the truth is, I would love to. I think I would genuinely take up the opportunity if I could actually have the money to actually pay for it. I'll definitely do it. Like I don't imagine there are any more sobering moments than being outside of the planet, like literally outside of it.
Look, I can only imagine that must be the most incredible feeling, is to look down on the blue marble and kind of say that everybody who has ever lived is there.
Right.
And everything that has ever happened in everyone's life happened on there. Like, that's the kind of zooming out that very few people get to do.
Very true.
But I am not in a hurry to travel to outer space. Someone mentioned in the comments here, William Shatner, who I love, who's 90s. Bitcoin But says he went to space and there is nothing, he said, just blackness.
Yep.
Yeah, space. Listen, I think if you go high up enough into the atmosphere, onto the border with space, I think that must be an amazing thing to see.
Yeah.
And absolutely, if someone said to me, hey, we're going to space, cool. But I'm not one of those people who's dreamt of it my whole life long. It's not something that I would mortgage the farm for if it was available. I'm quite happy to live here on Earth. This is where every human has lived very happily, thank you very much, without having to go into outer space. I'm content to bring about the rest of my life on planet Earth.
Yeah, for sure. But, I'd take a day or two just to go around the Earth once or twice, just to see it. Like, your Prof Block was here 2 weeks ago.
Isn't that
so
great?
You can actually see the aurora lights from space, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely.
Can you imagine that vision? Like, I mean, just, and again, it's an experience one can go without. But if the opportunity presents itself, hey man, why not? I'd do it.
Flat earthers should go. They would lose their shit, says Tracy. Yeah. Imagine a flat earther looking back at the earth from space and going, shit, guess I was wrong.
Yep.
Be a little bit difficult for them to deal with.
No, but those idiots, man, they'd most probably say, yeah, we only saw it from the one angle.
It's a projection.
It's like, goodness, man. and do you know what I always ask flat earthers is like, okay, so is the moon a sphere? And they're like, yeah. How about Jupiter? Yeah. So you're telling me all of these other planets are spheres. It's just that it's just only us that is flat. How inconsistent is your universe? That makes no sense whatsoever. But anyway.
Oh, man. All right. So the only reason a flat earther will want to go to space is to prove that the ice wall exists, says Bitcoin But. Yeah, there's that whole thing too. There are there are just a lot of crazy people on the planet, and we have to share it with them.
Which is why, you see, that is a good reason for you to go to space. You can live without this nonsense for a day or two.
I'm not in any hurry. All right, so what else is going on in the world? You saw that Mexico has its first ever woman president.
Yeah.
Apparently now every time anything gets done for the first time by a woman, we all have to stop what we're doing and go, well done, ladies.
Yeah.
And patronize them for a good half hour. So I'm not going to do it this morning. There have been women presidents in all kinds of countries. I can't believe it's taken Mexico this long.
Uh-huh.
And women presidents, just by the way, come in varieties just like men presidents, good, bad, and really terrible.
She's not going to be great at her job just by the virtue of her being a woman. It's not happening.
Because I had this conversation the other day with somebody. They're like, we need more women. I'm like, South Africa under the ANC had a 50% quota for women in parliament, the ANC itself, right?
Yeah.
So we had the best rating in the world for women in parliament. How did that help us? Because I saw a feminist on TV. I wonder who it is who comes up with this as a story. Something called gender something or another. It's a group. These people actually get up in the morning and go and sit and have grievance meetings about, it's terrible that the ANC lost their majority because now there'll be less women in parliament. That's what you take away from this. To some people, that's the most important thing. So they had this feminist with that sour face that all of them have. And she's on TV. This is on Sunday. And she's like, well, it's very sad because now that the ANC aren't the majority party anymore. It's a white liberal feminist woman. And she's like, well, now that they're not the biggest party in parliament anymore, it does mean a reduction in the number of women. And I'm like,
hey,
we know what she voted. And we know she's stupid.
Yeah.
Because that's the most important thing to her. Like, you literally have poor people in this country have no services. Our roads are falling to pieces. We have no electricity. And her biggest worry is that half the people in parliament need to have a vagina.
And it's like, no,
honey,
it doesn't matter really. In fact, Nosiviwe just proved.
She went to court yesterday as well.
Yeah.
Jeez, talk about people going to court. So, I mean, it was Trump last week. It's Hunter Biden this week.
Fauci's
in Congress. So now Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula was in court yesterday. She had all her regalia on. She looked,
of course,
she looked as Xhosa as she possibly could.
Yes.
To try and curry a little bit of favor. How did it go? Did you watch it? Did you see any of it?
No. The only thing I want to watch is when they convict her. That's the only thing. Like when they give past the sentence, that's the one part I'll be watching because we've seen what the political elite look like when they're going through these trials. Like there's the one delay tactic after another. They'll bring up that amendment and this wada and wada. No, I don't care. Just tell me when she's going to serve her sentence. That's it. That's all I care about. And for those of you who are pushing this whole gender equality thing, just keep in mind that women can and are just as devious as men. Just so you know.
Spot on. Yeah.
Just so you know.
I mean, it's not like you suddenly got some superpower because you're a woman. Oh, and by the way, it's Pride Month, everybody. So, the magic of the gays is now going to be available just for this month. And you watch all these companies that pander. You talk about pandering. Watch all the companies suddenly change their corporate colors to the LGBTQ rainbow flag for the month of June. But guess what they won't be doing? Changing it to those colors in the Middle East.
Yeah, they won't.
They won't be doing that in China or Russia.
No, they won't.
No. They'll do it here. They'll do it in America. They'll do it in Europe.
Even though that flag looks like a box of Crayolas just threw up. It's just yuck.
But very important that a very small minority of the population, they reckon maybe at a push 5% of the people on planet Earth are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, whatever. Maybe increasing. I mean, 2/3 of American kids say they're straight. 1/3 now says they might be L or G or B or T or Q or I or however the rest of the alphabet thing goes. But it's a tiny minority. And yet they get a whole month. That blows my mind. Moms get 1 day. Dads get 1 day.
Yeah.
Veterans get 1 day. People who have, been the victims of gender-based violence get 16 days of activism in this country. But the LGBTQIA plus community get a whole month.
An entire month. Oh, and by the way, congrats on picking one of the coldest months in this country. I love it. That means more of you will keep your clothes on. Thank you.
Yes, it's probably a good thing.
And by the way, it is also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Oh,
now that
fantastic
is something that we need to focus a lot more on.
Well, that's why we spoke to those guys this morning.
Yeah, because you know what? As men, we have been conditioned to think and move in a certain way.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's about time that we bring some of our issues to the forefront, because truthfully, I'm sick and tired of the whole gender pay gap, even though it's been disproved a million times. And then you are told all men are trash. And then on top of that is like, you know, Gareth, I'm actually going to rewind back to that conversation you had with Sims about being stuck in the forest with a bear or a man.
Yeah, that came up again. It hasn't gone away.
It's one of the most infuriating things.
Why does it infuriate you?
It infuriates me because
Jack's on a roll, everybody.
Listen, Paul, I should have been wearing my polo-neck, but nonetheless, you're telling me there's this wild animal that outweighs you, that could kill you on land and in the water. Do you understand what I'm saying? Whether it's a brown bear, I don't care which bear it is. Polar bear,
it's
brown
gonna try
bear.
and kill you, yes.
It is not, that bear is not going to come up to you and have a conversation. No. You are lunch. And you're telling me you'd much rather be with a bear than a man? Like what is going on? I honestly feel like we need to put some of these people in an enclosure with a bear.
No, I don't.
And let's see what happens.
I don't want horrible things to happen to someone who makes that choice. You're allowed to choose, but I would love to sit down with one of those people. It's women, right? They asked this of women. One of those women who's been asked, would you rather be with a wild bear or a man? And they've chosen a bear. And I'd like to sit down with them. And I'd really like to say to them, just because in your life you've had one or two men who've really probably treated you very badly.
Sure.
Does not mean that all of us are like that. And it is actually the job of a man to protect you, not just from bears, but from other men.
Yeah.
And from all the other things that happen in society. It shouldn't be your job to have to think about that. There are lots of things that women are better at than men. There are a few things that men are better at than women. And if men have been horrible to you in your life, there's no reason to substitute them for a bear.
Not at all.
That's not very sensible. So to those few ladies, I think it's probably a minority of ladies.
Yeah.
Meet some better men. And I promise you, your mind will change, girls. Come on.
And I'm not trying to shit on people or anything. I'm just, when I think about it in the most simple and basic way, if I had the choice to be stuck in the forest with a man, or in fact, let me make an equal example. If I've got a choice between a bear and a woman, it's a woman every day.
Time, of course.
Even if it was day of the week.
A very scary, butch, angry woman.
Listen,
right?
All of the heartbreak that I've faced in the 35 years that I've been alive have been at the hands of a woman.
Yes, but
I would still
rather choose you'd rather be with your exes.
Listen,
all of them,
all
the exes, rather than one bear.
And I would much rather listen to you tell me, Jack, you didn't do enough. Even though I've been carrying branches and stuff, trying to build us a place to live. Oh my
God.
I'd rather live with that
now,
than
Vincent
to deal with
says,
the bear.
Jack, that bear will eat you from the asshole first.
Listen to me. It will clean you up.
Oh man.
The only thing that will be left will be the corner of this cap that says make. While I'm dead.
No, and everything will be the color of that. Sanella says, don't get me started, Gareth and Jack. Netflix has a pride queer category. Saw it the other day and almost unsubscribed. Why must I be subjected to that shit? Hope there's a way to undo that option. Well, I went to one of our retail stores, which will remain nameless, because I don't want to fight with them, but I saw they have a big thing, a board as you walk in, that says like Happy Pride Month and all this stuff. Now, listen, I have no problem with anybody in the L's, the G's, the B's, the T's, the Q's, the I's, the A's. Good for you.
It actually sounded like a song for a second.
But you are asking to be celebrated just because of what you do in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to ask people to celebrate. Like, I'm okay with celebrating someone who has achieved something, someone who's fought for other people. I'm happy to mark days on our South African public holiday calendar, like Freedom Day, which have huge historical significance for the whole population. But because you like dick, vagina, asshole,
whatever,
titties, does not mean I have to join in a celebration. Like, I don't. Why do you require me to celebrate what you do in private?
Yeah, like
I'm happy with. I'm certainly not saying rights should be taken away from you.
No,
but I don't understand why a retail store needs to be saying, "Yeah, it's great that you prefer asshole." if they put that on the billboard, would people still?
Oh, hell no.
Want to be in that store?
Nope.
Man, if you put in the billboard, I love that you munch rug. I'm being crass on purpose, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like, why is that something that we are required to all celebrate? Now, I'm not being conservative and closed-minded here. I have friends of all descriptions. I'm very open-minded to all of this stuff. But it does strike me as odd that we're all being co-opted. You know, I think tolerance is really important. I think even acceptance is very important. But the requirement of celebration for someone else's life choices is not,
it's not it,
incumbent on any of us. It's like, for example, if you did decide to go into the bear enclosure at the zoo, this is a thing you did every month, and you wanted me to celebrate the fact that you kept coming out of there bloodied with broken bones, and you wanted to go back again, I don't have to celebrate that with you.
Yeah,
that's a life choice that you've decided to make. I don't have to be a part of it.
Yeah, and one of us have to make up our minds about it, right? Like, and look, according to a lot of the people within that quote unquote community, you're born that way, right? So you didn't figure something out. It's just who you are.
You didn't even achieve anything.
You didn't.
So apparently, this is quite interesting. There is a bar in America, in Idaho, I think it is, that's giving free beer to celebrate straight people. So it's not just straight men; it's straight people. So if you go to this bar, you can now get it's straight pride there.
You see what I mean? Like now we have to come up with a whole balancing act on the other side.
This is stupid, but it's stupid, but they're proving a point, right?
Yeah.
They are proving that this is stupid by doing this. So it's not a bad thing. I think it's dumb. I wouldn't go.
Sure.
But yes, this is what's going to happen if we're expected to comply and celebrate.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I don't like how in today's society, formerly marginalized groups need to now somehow stick their chest out, and the entire world needs to listen. We were previously disadvantaged, so therefore we've become the stars of the world. It's like, I don't know.
Did you do anything for Black History Month?
What is that
exactly? Morgan Freeman. There's this great interview. You can look it up on YouTube.
Oh no, I've seen it.
You've seen it, right?
I've seen it.
He says, what is this? Because a white guy obviously says to him, well, "What are you doing for Black History Month?"
Like, hey.
Morgan Freeman's like, "What? Black History Month? Why? Why must you impose on me, because I'm a black man, that I must celebrate Black history as opposed to history of humans?"
And the shortest month of all, like the one with 28 days.
Well, do they have short people month? Because you could celebrate that.
Yeah, I celebrate that all year. Listen, we are in the cut. For those of you who don't know my handle, at Jack 5'4". You know what I mean?
There we go.
I
and
celebrate
by the
it all
way,
year.
I mean, let's just give some credit to the straight people who don't have a month. They're the ones that have actually kept civilization going. The species, you know, they're making children.
Yep.
Which keeps humans going as a concern.
Yeah.
That's worthy of some celebration.
Yeah.
What are all the other people bringing to the party?
Exactly.
What do you bring to the table?
The very same crazy bunch that's running around wanting their own month. You are here because of street people, whether you like it or not. And look, I've got we've got no problem with people living their lives the way they want to.
Sure.
But do not expect me to celebrate the fact that you figured something out about your life.
It's got nothing to do with Jack.
It's got nothing to do with me. And by the way, like I am not going to play any part in your self-image.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know what.
Leave me out of it.
Something strange has happened in the last 20, 30 years. Maybe we should take some blame as the generation. I'll take for my generation, you take for yours because you're 10 years or so younger than me.
Sure.
But something happened where we stopped celebrating people for achievements and we started celebrating them just for existing.
That participation trophy is the problem.
Yeah. You just because you exist now, you want everybody to wave a flag and to march in a parade. Ugh. This is a weird thing that's happened, and I don't understand it. We used to do parades for
victors,
people who'd come back from war and won.
Yeah,
like the losers didn't get a parade.
No.
And also, by the way, we would do this for great inventions. We would give people prizes. We have several orders in this country that we give out to people who have helped the country along in the arts, in engineering, in science. And that's important. It's important for nations and for societies to reward people who are doing things. But now we seem to make a fuss of people just for existing. It's a very odd thing.
I mean, when you think about how social media rewards very little effort, like you could write one sentence on X and your day completely changes. Now, all of a sudden, you've got 200,000 followers and people want to hear your thoughts about a multitude of things. It's...
let's not climb in here, but it did strike me as strange that even at this shop that I went to, they have a billboard outside saying Happy Pride Month. And I'm like, really, guys? Are they not going to make it through the day if we don't celebrate them? And also, what kind of person is going to immediately feel confident just because a bunch of strangers are congratulating them on their life choices online?
Sure.
That doesn't seem to me to be a very healthy way for anyone to behave.
Not at all.
Black History Month. I'm a Xhosa trans white guy, says Mapelo. Mapelo. Yo. Do we have a wildlife month? We should start one. Listen.
Yes.
If you go online and you type in what is today, there are a million things that every day in the year.
Yeah.
It belongs to like 20 million different groups. So good luck. You probably find, there's some Native American sweat lodge day. I promise you, you're going to find weird shit on there. People who put the wrong shoe on the wrong foot day. There are days for all of this nonsense.
Yep.
So I don't see why we should all be forced to take part in it. It's ridiculous. It's unnecessary. It's stupid.
Yep.
We should have stuck to Ricky Lake and Jerry Springer as humanity. We wouldn't have any of this nonsense because someone said earlier it's all because of Oprah and Dr. Phil. Well, Dr. Phil's getting very unwoke. I mean, Dr. Phil has a lot to say about a lot of things these days. He's got a new TV show.
Yeah.
In fact, he's got a whole channel. And Dr. Phil is going into places and directions that I am very proud of him for going into because he's certainly not skirting the big issues anymore.
My favorite show that he's done this year was when he had the son of the Hamas leader.
Yes.
That was
very good.
It was must-watch TV, I'm telling you. That was beautiful to watch. Loved it.
Yeah, he's definitely going in hard, which is great. Dr. Phil's great. So just before we go to our guest, is there anything else that you wanted to get? Because you seem like you're on a bit of a roll this morning.
No.
Getting stuff off your chest. I mean, Jack has not held back at all this morning. I just wanted to let you, if there was anything
we can breathe.
In addition to what you've already told us. You're happy?
Listen, we can breathe. By the way, let me just, as the final point on this, I suggest if you live in major cities, so if you're in Johannesburg, Cape Town, and all of that good stuff, get yourself a pair of sunglasses because it's going to be colorful all over thanks to Pride Month. Good luck to you with that.
It's going to look like, as you said, what, melted crayons.
Yeah, it's like they decided just to throw up. It's like you were watching Sesame Street and they decided, what are all of these colors? Blah.
And somebody's got to just tell all the shops that you don't have to strong arm us into supporting this stuff. Hey, I mean, like we don't come to you for moral guidance. We come to you for cucumbers and tinned goods.
Just give us that. We'll give you your money and leave us alone.
How about pasta and how about lower prices? If you were really focused on, like, instead of trying to moralize to the people of South Africa or any other country where this nonsense happens, because they don't try it in certain parts of the world, lower prices and better quality goods.
That's it.
How about stuff that doesn't go rotten in a day? You do that, and then I'll smile and wave at your stupid poster on the way into your dumb store.
And seriously, if you keep on going, I'm gonna move to Welkom where none of this shit happens. Small towns are
Welkom,
amazing.
they won't put up with that. Hey,
They won't. Just move to Welkom. I'll be fine in Oppenheimer Park.
Yeah, I don't see them doing that.
They are not doing it. They are not. And listen, Welkom has got a bunch of these traffic circles everywhere. And I would imagine if they were going to do Pride, you'd see it everywhere at all of those traffic circles. It's not going to happen in Welkom. We don't play that shit.
Hey, listen. They are warning in parts of poor KwaZulu-Natal. We were talking about the weather. They're warning that the additional police are being deployed there over threats of violence.
Oh, yes.
There are fears that violence may flare up in the province after MK made threats against the IEC and the outcome of the elections. Now, I didn't hear anything happened yesterday, but I did see a big plume of smoke coming out of Tembisa yesterday because I was on the road early. And I don't know what was going on there, if anybody knows, but there was like this black smoke, like, you know, when tires burn, that kind of smoke. And I thought, oh no, but I have no proof that anything bad happened. And I do want to say to all those people, as a final word on the elections and all of this stuff, because we ranted quite a lot.
Yes, we have.
Everybody who was a prophet of doom, everybody who was saying, oh, the country's going to go up in flames. South Africa can't behave. The ANC will never just reluctantly give up power.
And they're so mature. They're so mature this time around.
Guys, you were wrong.
Completely.
You know? I mean, today is a day of accountability. Let's put it that way. And everybody who said the country is ruined, this election's going to be violent, it's going to be, it won't be free and fair, the parties will misbehave, there'll be clashes, and the streets will erupt. And it'll be like those riots in July last, 2 years ago? It didn't happen.
It didn't.
South Africa's fine.
Yep.
And can I tell you what? No matter what happens, whether there are coalitions or whether we have a minority government, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
It's going to be okay, all right? So stop being one of those prophets of doom. Stop being one of those people who always expects the worst, because that's what the news media are there for.
Yeah.
And we've already learned to ignore them. So don't make yourself the next person we ignore. Okay.
And you know, these people on the news and whatnot, I'm gonna call it out. You guys are cowards, because at the end of the day, when the shit hits the fan, you'll be hiding in the SABC and wherever
and all those other media.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so don't jump on the bandwagon.
How dare
because
you?
when the shit hits the fan, it's gonna hit you first. Okay.
Right. How dare you?
Fool. Idioto.
All right, so let's turn our attention to something else which is going on, and especially when you see all the crazy stuff happening in KZN now with these weather events. You know, we have people who, we have constant issues around this country of people who climb mountains in mist and go missing.
Yeah.
We have people who go out at sea. The NSRI are called in all the time. So there's an organization called SARZA, SARZA. They're a highly trained crew of volunteer 4x4 owners in South Africa. Got regional teams in 5 of the 9 provinces. The Cape Town branch are responsible for many rescue and sadly recovery operations off Table Mountain. Members are deployed to assist in Turkey during those earthquakes.
Yeah.
Recently, a team went to George to assist in the search and recovery of that building collapse, which was all over the news. So these are people who, when there's danger, they jump in.
Yeah.
They want to help. It's an incredible thing to be involved with this. And this morning we speak to Mike Muller, who's the chairperson of the Western Cape SARZA. That's a search and rescue team. So Mike, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Gareth and Jack, very good morning to you, and thanks for having us on.
That's nice to see you. So Mike, I mean, first of all, I mentioned some of the things that the Cape Town branch has already been doing. And this is not just in this country, but internationally, which is incredible. This is obviously that there are accidents and then there are people who do stupid things, but you guys don't discriminate. You rescue anybody.
Yeah, we don't ask questions before we get called out. When we told that there's an injured person on the mountain, the only question that we ask is, how can we help? I think any medical professional, although we're not medical professionals, anyone who's in the rescue world knows that we don't ask questions. If there's someone in peril, we go and help. We can ask all the questions we like afterwards.
Well, you're already a better man than me, because someone goes wandering up Table Mountain on a misty day and gets lost, I'd be like, you made your choices.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'm not here to help you. But this is amazing. So how many of you guys are there in your team?
So in the Western Cape, we've got a team of about 43 guys. That's mixed about 30 guys who are active rescuers who go out there all the time, and then about another 12 who are in various phases of training. Countrywide, there's 28 of us, but the Cape Town team is the second largest team, in fact, by numbers in the country.
What kind of training do you have to get?
So, as you said rightly, you say you've taken care of my first slide. Thank you very much. You said we're a team of volunteer search and rescue specialists. So we're really made up of folk from all walks of life: IT specialists, bookkeepers, guys in construction. So you don't need anything to join us. We will take care of the training once you've joined. So most of the guys in our team don't come from a rescue or medical background at all.
Mike, sometimes it takes a certain incident to get people to spring up into action. What happened for you guys to actually start this whole mission?
So 30 years ago, we've kind of been flying very low under the radar, as it were, and there's no pun intended on how we actually started. Back in about 1990, an aircraft went missing in the northern regions of what was then Natal, and a couple of guys who were members of the four-wheel drive club in what's now Gauteng decided that they wanted to help, and they jumped in their 4x4s and essentially drove down to that area to go and look for the aircraft and see if they could help. Because of the area that the aircraft had gone down or was believed to have gone down. And 34 years later, we're still looking for aircraft and thankfully finding a lot more of them. Last year, in fact, we attended to 13 aircraft incidents alone. So it was really born out of guys who just owned 4x4s and wanted to help. And as time progressed, decided, but let's formalize this and let's get more of our friends involved. And here we are today.
That's great.
We actually found out about you from your sister Janet, who sent us an email about the kind of work you guys do. Do you think, Mike, there's a certain kind of personality that this work appeals to? Do you think it's a certain kind of person who loves doing this very, very difficult and sometimes extremely physically and emotionally demanding work?
Yeah, I think it does. The example I can give you is that in January, we had about 40 applicants. So we have an online, we have a website, and there's a button which you can click join us on, and we gather these names as time goes by. And then in January and June of every year, we get everybody in and tell them what we're about and get them going. Just for the Western Cape alone, we had 40 people who were keen to join. 3 weeks later, we had our session, which is, we'd like to do a face-to-face session. We'd like to see who the people are that are applying, and only 28 of them arrived for that session. And as we speak today, 7 of them still come to training.
Sure.
So the attrition from it all looks very glamorous, and it's it looks like a lot of action, but it's a lot of hard work. It's very time demanding in terms of just the training you need to do that we require. You can understand just the type of environments we go into. You need to have a certain level of skill to go out there and do this.
Tell us about some of the more harrowing work that you've had to do. I mean, the most recent stuff is obviously the stuff that's on your mind right now. But in your career in SARZA, in your time there as a volunteer, what kinds of stuff have you done? Give us a little snapshot of the experiences you've had.
Guys, I think so. I started off, fortunately, or unfortunately, I don't know which way you look at it, by joining the Gauteng team. I lived in Gauteng for 15 years. And started my training off there, and then moved back down to Cape Town in 2016. So a lot of what happens in Cape Town is very much Table Mountain, Lions Head kind of stuff. And that's where we see it all happening. You referred earlier to to people going up onto the mountain in the mist. And sadly, the mountain, I think when the city planners laid the city out all those years ago, they didn't realize that sticking a mountain in the middle of the city might not have been the best place to put it, because it looks like a very tame little hill. And when you start walking up it, very often there is no mist. It looks like a beautiful, warm, sunny day. So you've got your shorts on, you don't have much water with you. And more often than not, folk get into trouble by not being prepared.
So you're saying it's not even their fault. I mean, you can go up there in perfect weather conditions, and because the weather changes so quickly, and I know this, I was in Cape Town just on Friday and Saturday, it does change quickly, then you could find yourself in a lot of trouble, and people get disorientated. You can't see that far in front of you. It's also dangerous on the mountain because there are all kinds of people who are going to try and rob you and steal your stuff. I mean, Bulelo, who worked with us for a long time, he was kind of held at knife point on the mountain. They made him strip off all of his clothes, took all of his stuff, and he was left naked and alone on the mountain. I mean, that's a harrowing and horrible thing to happen to anybody. And he's no, fading flower. He's not the kind of guy who would just, accept his fate. He's a pretty strong, principled dude who I think could deal with most situations. And he found himself in that kind of situation. So do you have a lot of that in Cape Town? Does that happen every week, every 2 weeks? Is it regular?
Yeah, sadly, your colleague wasn't the only one who was robbed. I don't know if you recall, sort of towards late last year, we briefly had another 15 minutes of fame when 3 of our very own rescuers were robbed at gunpoint coming off the mountain.
Jeez.
Yeah, I remember that.
The rescue. So the 3 of them were on the way down, and they were held up at gunpoint and pretty much cleaned out. So it's not restricted to tourists. However, I must say that the Western Cape is truly blessed in terms of the kind of services and emergency services we have. And I'm talking about right from the fire departments through to EMS, even our Sandparks colleagues in the mountain. It's always a pleasure to work with them. And those incidents of crime, there was a very brief period where they escalated, and it was around that time when probably your colleague and our colleagues were robbed. And to my knowledge, those reports aren't making the media anymore because they're not as prevalent as what they were. There will always be opportunists. There will always be opportunists. And when you enter a wilderness environment, there are certain risks associated, be it that you're in desolate or isolated areas, or just the hazards that occur in nature.
By the way, for people who want to find out more, you can go to SARZA, SARZA.co.za, and we're showing a couple of pictures of some of you guys. So, Mike, whenever there's a news story about someone, like a kid goes missing during a huge rainstorm, for example, and they've been hanging around the banks of a river, the really awful part of the story is that sometimes these kids drown, and someone has to go and find the body, in a dam, in a lake, in a river. We've got these bodies of water, and then someone has to find the body in the body of water, and that's you guys, right?
We work alongside those teams. So just to sort of clarify how SARZA operates, we kind of not just this bunch of guys who hear about something going and hop in our cars and rush off to go and be essentially disaster tourists, because those, as good as folk often intend doing, rushing to a scene where you haven't been asked to go to can also get in the way.
Yeah. Make it worse.
If we look back at the Knysna fires, everybody rushed up to Knysna because we wanted to help. That put a huge drain just on the resources of the area, because accommodation, just food, all sorts of resources were being depleted by folk who didn't need to be there, and those who had to be there, the fire guys and so forth, were in a bit of a bind because there were no resource available. So to come back to your question, the way we work is that we work very closely with many government organizations, and the cases of a missing body or a drowned person, generally the South African Police Services would request our assistance to come out with them. Our main function, as with most of the services we work along with, be it SAPS, be it the fire departments, be it emergency services, is to be a force multiplier. I was talking to a government agency about 2 weeks ago, and I said, when you need to call resources from Pretoria, you've got to fill in 1,000 forms. You've got to speak to a general. You've got to speak to a colonel. You've got to go down this whole paper trail, and maybe 3, 4, 5 days later, you've received your assistance. With us, there's no bureaucracy. You make a phone call. I phone up my team and say who's available, because we all have day jobs. So that's the other thing to bear in mind. We're not sitting around waiting for disasters. But in terms of George, the building collapsed at 9 minutes past 2 on the Monday afternoon. We'd received a call less than 30 minutes later to say, can you assemble a team and can you go? And we had guys on the rubble pile by 11:30 that very night. I mean, the dust had pretty much just settled, and we had 10 of our guys on the rubble pile. And within another 24 hours, we had another 10 guys coming from the rest of the country to assist. So with those body recoveries you spoke about, SAPS would often, and especially our Gauteng colleagues, SAPS and them work very closely together on those drowning victims.
Now, Mike, like having to deal with those kind of things is extremely traumatic. These are very highly emotional, intense situations that you guys deal with. How do you guys navigate your mental health? I mean, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah, we spoke to some people earlier about a mental health clinic they've started in Soweto, so it seems to be a bit of a trend.
Yeah.
Do you guys go for counseling?
Yeah, how do you guys deal with such?
We almost insist upon it. We can't force anybody to go for counseling, but when the guys got back from George, it's not what the guys saw there is not the kind of stuff that you go home and chat to your loved ones about. You just and it's not about the stuff you see. The stuff you see is one thing. It's not pretty, but the experiences you have and some of the stories that I personally wasn't able to go to George, but just the experiences that some of the guys had, it's heartbreaking, and it goes to bed with you every night. So within our Gauteng team, one of our members is actually someone who counsels and assists the team and is available for the whole country. And within when the guys got back to the Cape, we actually organized a trauma counselor to meet with the team, and only the guys who'd been to George went and sat together and were allowed to just let it all out. One session isn't enough because different people have different coping mechanisms. But it definitely does take its toll. So counseling and is a huge thing, and it's something that we really, really encourage. Unfortunately, can't force upon people.
What kind of stuff happens in winter that doesn't happen in summer that you guys have to help out with? We're going into winter.
So whether you call it climate change or just evolving weather patterns, there's so many theories out there, and whatever you believe to be the truth, we are seeing a lot more flooding in winter. We're seeing a lot more fire in summer. So for winter, we're expecting flooding events, and we don't know where they will strike. We generally are ready for that, and in those kind of situations. Remember, swift water rescue is a very, very specialized field, and it's something you really need to train hard on. And it's not something that our team, especially in the Cape, is really qualified on. So our role in terms of swift water rescue would be, it doesn't sound as glamorous as the guy being in the water, because that's hugely dangerous. Sure. We're on the bank, the support on the banks, which has its own inherent dangers, but it's supporting the teams up and down the bank, searching ahead, searching back, and doing the rope work and so forth.
Of course, the thing that I think about this time of year is all those shack fires that happen.
Yeah.
In a very congested, informal settlement, you have someone who's trying to keep warm or they're trying to cook food. In winter, they leave the fire for a second, it gets out of control, and because everybody's so close together, one leads to the other being lit, then they all end up like a big tinderbox, and obviously people lose their lives. Sometimes they just lose their property, but that's bad enough for some people,
Yeah. So look, in terms of fires and shack fires, we've also learned to know our place. And fire is again something you really need to train hard at. And there, the city fire department would take care of sort of shacks alight or structures alight. We would take care of the fire incidents. SARZA would be there very much in a supporting role, whether it be the flooding or whether it be the fire. It would be the humanitarian sort of side of things that comes up in the following days. So if there was a large flood or a large fire, and similarly what you saw in George, your first 3 to 5 days thereafter is when you're kind of in that search and rescue mode, where you're still trying to find live persons and assist them, as well as the humanitarian side of it. So that's very much our role there. We're not fighting the fires. That has its own hazards, and you really need to be highly trained for that. But we're there as a support function to those services.
Okay. I'm glad you guys exist. I'm glad that we're able not only to rely on you in these situations, which are mostly horrible situations. I mean, it's not nice being called out when bad things happen, but thank goodness you guys have got a bit of a spirit of adventure, and you have the training to be able to be useful in those situations. A lot of people, I suppose, just turn around and say, not me. So I'm glad that there are people we can rely on. And I'm even more proud that we can export your skills to places like Turkey and, wherever they've had earthquakes, major natural disasters, big riot events, that kind of thing. You guys can come in and help. So that's really, really good. You've done a lot of overseas trips yourself?
Personally, not. I'm in the privileged position that I own a business. I'm in the construction business. So I own a construction company, which doesn't do well when I'm not around. So it's not big enough that I can disappear for 5 to 10 days. And that's generally, especially on these large deployments. You refer to Turkey. There was the earthquake in Japan a couple of years ago, the earthquake in Haiti, and these are really long deployments. It's 10 days. You can't sort of say, well, I'll go for 2 days and come back, because there are flights that have been organized. It's a long travel to get to these disastrous areas, and it really takes someone who's got a very good relationship with the employer, or are in whatever circumstances they find themselves, that they can leave for up to 10 days. But the team, there's always guys available. And Turkey, the guys were on the ground within 24 to 36 hours. They were on the ground in Turkey as well. So you really got to be able to drop things and go.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning, Mike. Great to have you on. And as I said earlier, if anybody wants to find out more about this, you can go to SARZA, SARZA.co.za. That's the South African Search and Rescue Team, but this is a Cape Town one that we were talking to Mike about. Mike Muller is the chairperson of the Western Cape SARZA. So nice to have you on, and keep doing the good work, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, all the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers.
Very good. All right. Still nothing to moan about that we haven't covered this morning?
No. How could I moan after listening to that man talk? I mean, there's you
I don't know.
Were only inspired.
You were fired up this morning. I mean, if anyone wants to know that there are things that Jack cares about, just listen to any 5 minutes of the show this morning.
Yeah. Look. It's the thing. Gareth. I find idiots annoying. Okay. They can be entertaining from time to time, where you can, take the load off and chuckle for a bit. But most of the time, they are unbelievably annoying. And because of social media and the internet, now they're communities. That's great. Yeah, here we go. He's about to start. He said he wasn't here. There was nothing else. He's about to start. Here we go. Go on. I said I wasn't going to do it, but here we are. But like you can't just be some person having some sort of an experience somewhere in the corner. No, you have to start a community, and now it's all about groupthink. And
oh boy,
you jump onto TikTok to find out what your opinion is supposed to be, because you can't think for yourself until someone gives you a thought that you can then regurgitate. And it's all this groupthink stuff, guys. Like,
I've got another one that you can get annoyed about. Just to throw this in for the last 2 minutes of the show. Today is also World Environment Day.
World Environment Day.
It marks the first day of, I know you all know this already, but I'm going to tell you anyway, the Stockholm Conference on the Human Environment.
Okay.
I know you remember it because it's the most important thing that ever happened in your life.
Okay.
Another resolution adopted by the General Assembly of the UN the same day led to the creation of UNEP. Do you know what that is?
No.
The UN Environmental Program. Aren't you excited that exists?
No.
Well, today is their day. So all of you people at the UNEP, at least someone in the world thought of you today. And I'm glad it was me and Jack.
Yeah. Tomorrow they're going to say it's World Population Day and everyone was there.
Do you know that also on this day, back in 1876, Americans were introduced to bananas? Yes, there's another important thing about today. Very important.
Yeah.
So,
it's very important.
if you were worried that you were sharing this day with too many people, also it's known as Sausage Roll Day. Yes, today is Sausage
We need
Roll
an
Day.
entire day for sausage
That's
rolls.
right. So very important, guys. And it is the 157th day of the year. That's how many seats the ANC have.
Nah, it's 159, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah,
almost.
well, Ampur.
Almost.
Well, you can say it again on Friday and you'll be correct.
There are only 209 days left of the year. So we're not quite halfway, but we're almost.
Just there.
All right. So get ready. The second half of the year. And, basically, you got to get your shit together because with World Sausage Roll Day, Americans being introduced to bananas, Pride Month, World Environment Day, Men's Mental Health Month. I mean, there's a lot on the agenda.
There's a lot.
If you've got goals, June's your last month to put them into play, really. Because, I mean, the rest of the year is just chock full of important stuff like Sausage Roll Day.
Yeah. In fact, we should commemorate this day and go buy sausage rolls. You know what I mean? Just to make sure we are within the vibe of the day.
It's also Kenny G's birthday. I mean, do you need more? Have you got enough? Have you got enough stuff to commemorate today? Kenny
if you
G,
don't,
the boring saxophonist, his birthday. It's also Mark Wahlberg's birthday.
Okay. He's
It's also National Moonshine Day in America.
National Moonshine
Yes.
Day.
Listen, guys, you can do this every day. If you're bored, go online, look up why is today important. National Moonshine Day. You know what moonshine is? The stuff that they drink.
Yeah. It's the
hardcore.
It's this umqombothi
it's the American umqombothi.
There you go.
Correct.
There you go. And if it was in SA, it would have been called Moonshine Pack Day. Right? Congratulations.
Oh, that's great. Okay, very good. Thanks, everybody. Have a happy day. We will see you on Friday. But if you're a fan of the Burning Platform, that's on live tomorrow morning on the podcast party. This is the Gareth Cliff Show on the Real Network. Thank you for joining us.
Lastly, sorry.
Another rant.
No rant. No, this is all love. Listen, thank you to all of you for the birthday messages. I had an amazing day. Thank you.
And it was Jack's birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, cheers, everybody.